Hey everyone, it's Reed. Been gone a bit. I had one heck of an interesting set of holidays. Sure, a lot of people had great holidays. Mine, well, they weren't exactly perfect. And Philip decided he wanted to join me for the video. Or he was in my way where I need to put the camera, happily sleeping. I'm like, I'll put him on my lap. Because he's pretty much always happy just sitting with me. So we have Philip with us. And he looks pretty happy right now. And he's also a really good leg warmer. Quite enjoy that. I've been doing some thinking about the channel and stuff. I thought I should start doing a lot of more personalized videos. What I mean by that is let you guys get to know me a bit better. What makes poor Reed think? What sort of things do I think about? It might help. Plus, you can get an idea of more of my background, things that led me to this strange position I'm in these days. Now, I've tried to be really animated and stuff like that. It just doesn't suit me. So, you're going to have to put with me being a little dry at times. But I am very passionate about several things. So when you see me raging or talking about something with major conviction and strength in my voice, you'll know there's a lot of genuine emotion behind this. I think it'll be better. Besides, I'm not really an actor. Got to be true to myself. If I'm not really comfortable with certain things, it's just not going to make for good content. That's why people come here, I think. They want to go to YouTube or BitChute or wherever, and they find oddball creators like me, and we're relatable people. Just random, everyday people that decide, you know what, this stuff's annoying, or I'm going to show people this technology. Put it together. Show things. It's like, talking with someone, your next door neighbor or something like that. Works well. Also, the internet's amazing how we can just communicate all across the world with such ease. It's really amazing. So that's kind of what I was doing. Now the other thing I've noticed is I kind of think manifestation of imagination. Well, I think a lot of people might click on that and go, what the heck is this about? Because sometimes I myself wonder, what am I going to make today? And it's like I said, it's for me being able to talk about anything. I like that. However, I do think we need to maybe crisp up the channel name. Really make it very obvious that people should, hey, subscribe. That's what I want at least. I'd really like it to get a lot more people involved. Especially to be able to participate in comments and discussions. There's a lot of things I want to discuss. That's why I was also bringing in some new people on the channel. Like Eva and Lee. I've got some other people planned as well. I want to get a nice discussion going about topics. Like take current things related in the news and relate them to different scenarios that we may encounter in very crazy times. So that's what I'm thinking. But I would absolutely love it if you guys could give me some suggestions on new channel names. I was kind of thinking like MOI's Corner or, MOI Random Stuff. I don't know. But if you guys got a great suggestion, pass them along. I'd love to hear them. So let me tell you about my holidays. I'm certain everyone else got to get up with the family, have a wonderful Christmas dinner, and enjoy life with everything. Well, my family, they're out of state right now. I had no one really to go visit. But it actually suits me. Because since I work in information technology, and a lot of it has to do with databases, networking, and all sorts of stuff, the end of the year, really busy for me at times. Particularly since Congress can't get off their damn butts and decide the taxes. Let me tell you, it's very annoying having to install tax updates during the holidays. But I seem to always have to do this. However, this year, I did not have to spend much time at work. Instead, I got to spend time with my cat. See, my poor kitty cat, he got really ill. And I mean really ill. He has a tendency to make a lot of bladder stones. And it turns out he makes an extremely rare type of bladder stones, called ammonium urate. Less than 2% of cats make these stones. They're very understudied, and there's very few treatments available for them. I have been digging deeply into how to treat him, and I was thinking I was making some progress. However, he started acting up. He started having lots of pain, blood in the urine, couldn't settle. And that is generally what starts to happen when, He's got stones. And when I say stones, these are actually little, almost microscopic, sharp crystal shards that tear up his insides. Needless to say, he's not a fan of them. Neither am I, because I'm not really happy when my poor cat is crying in pain. Very depressing. But he started doing that. And we're like, oh no, he needs surgery again. Have to get Mr. Phillip to get surgery. But guess what? All my regular vets I go see, they were all on holidays. I got to spend Christmas Day camping out with my cat, who was just miserable, trying my best to make him feel better. Not really the best Christmas day, but I was happy to help take care of him, because he is a great friend. And I really do adore my fuzzy friends. I know, some people are like, why would you care that much about an animal? I'm a passionate guy, especially about my furry friends. For any of you other animal lovers, I'm certain some of you out there nodding away agreeing with me. You make very deep relationships, and it's a good thing. One of the amazing things about humans is our amazing empathy we have to, take care of something not human, like an animal. And it's something that really separates humans, and it's one of the best parts, I think, of us, is our deep empathy. Now, don't get me wrong, humans can be horrible, horrible creatures, but I also think there's a good side to us. Anyways, back to the cat. Poor Philip, he just was horribly unhappy, and he couldn't settle. Out of desperation, the day after Christmas, I headed up to the VCA, and we got him seen. Well, unfortunately, our normal doctor that we see at the VCA, well, he was also out on vacation, so I got a newbie. And they were a newbie. They're like, oh, let's do an x-ray real quick to check for these stones. I did mention they're microscopic, right? Yeah, it wasn't going to show up on an x-ray. She was adamant we had to get an x-ray. Okay, we get an x-ray. I'm not seeing anything with the stones. Okay, I could have told you this. Why did you have to waste my time with the x-ray? Anyways, I'm like, can we please get in on the ultrasound? She goes and asks, comes back. No, they're fully booked. You can't spare 5 minutes on the ultrasound machine? Nah, they're fully booked. Okay. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm talking back and forth with this doctor. And then it occurs to me there's a couple oddball things about Philip. I'd kind of been thinking about them a little bit on the drive up. Yeah, it's a drive. It's about over an hour away for me to go take him to the VCA. Because it's in the big city, I live in a little rural town. But anyways, on the way up there, I was thinking about it. And it really came together when I was talking to her. There were a couple presentation differences. Usually when we deal with stones with Philip, he can settle if we give him pain medication. And in this case, I was using a very strong pain medication called Tramadol. It's actually an opiate. And unfortunately for cats, there's very, very few pain medications available for them. Just not much of it, something that's been developed really well. The only other one that's somewhat similar to something like people use, like aspirin or ibuprofen, is a drug called Ensure. I've also used that with him. Now, in the past when he had stones, using one of these, he would be able to settle, sleep, and relax. And at least buy time until we got to his surgery so he could feel better. This time he couldn't. The other thing is he kept licking himself constantly. And it occurred to me, certain really, really bad infections from bacteria can do very similar things. So I'm talking with her about this, and I say, well, what about a UTI? Really, really bad one. Can this cause these issues? She kind of thinks out, and she goes, well, maybe. Seems like a good chance. Let's try it. She gives me a prescription for some antibiotics, and we get Philip on it right away. Well, turns out, miracle upon miracles, he starts feeling better right away. After about, 3 or 4 doses, in other words, about 2 days, my cat was actually doing a lot better. Needless to say, I was extremely happy. I did finally get a chance to get up to the main vet I usually see and get an ultrasound on him. And my poor vet has dealt with Philip quite often and had to do the surgeries in the past to help clear him out. He's used to seeing these stones, knows what he's looking for. We're digging around on them. Well, turns out, can't find any. Amazing, the new treatment I'd started for him for treating these super rare stones is actually working. he had a horrific UTI infection. And I will show you a picture of the urine samples we collected of the progression of how bad it looked and how it started cleaning up. It's just wild. The poor vet was like, oh my gosh. He thought it had to be stones too. Thankfully, it was a Christmas miracle. Poor Mr. Philip is feeling better, doesn't have to surgery. I tell you, I was happy. Now, a lot of people don't realize I am religious. I'm just not in your face about it. And I did spend my time praying over my cat. Yes, I'm certain some of you think, that's crazy. You're spending too much time worrying about your cat. I love my cat. So, for all you people that don't disagree with me, I don't care. I love my cat. Now, as time passed, he was getting better. Until recently. Just crossed over into the new year, stuff like that. And he had about, I think, a 10-day supply of antibiotics. Well, around day 7, he was kind of lethargic. I'm like, well, he's had a tough time. You know, he just might be feeling kind of down. On day 8, he quit eating. And that is very unusual for Philip. He really likes his food we give him. And that's just really, really odd. Now, for cats, if they quit eating for a while, that's really bad. Not a good thing at all. So I decided, you know what? This just is abnormal. Off to the vet again. Now, the vet was booked solid. So we're like, okay, is there any way I can at least just get blood drawn and get an analysis on it? And they're like, okay, just come by at the end of the day. We'll do that, and you can take a look at it. Get the blood drawn, have the complete blood panel and the electrolytes and everything processed. Turns out his kidney values are really high. The bun and the creatinine is almost over the red line. Now, those are values showing possible kidney failure. Now, there's another pre-kidney indicator called SDMA, and it showed a very high value. Now, I'd run these back in June, and he was fine. And the SDMA is a pre-indicator, and it starts rising way sooner. Something was really wrong. And this got me thinking, I've got an acute kidney failure problem. And the first thing that thought to my mind was toxicity to the medications. Since he'd been on stuff, I was like, oh man, maybe his kidneys are just took a shock on this. Because cats' kidneys are very sensitive. We stopped every medication. He's getting nothing. I'm like, cut him off. Poor Philip, he's like, oh, I feel horrible. So he just laid with me. I had him just sitting with me, laying around. And we just spent the night together and read a book. Started a book called World War Z. I bought it a long time ago, never got around to reading it. So I spent the night reading my book with my poor cat in my lap as I cared for him. So we get into the vet the next day and run the kidney values again. They're even worse. And I'm thinking, wow, this is bad. And the vet says, okay, flush him, and when we say flush him, we're actually going to inject fluid under the skin called subcutaneous fluids. I have another cat that has kidney problems. I'm used to dealing with this. Vet says, get him about 400 milliliters. That is a lot. A huge amount of fluid. But his kidney values were rising quickly. Needed to stop this. Another problem was he still wasn't eating. But we started flushing him and get it out. Well, he really started peeing everywhere, as you can guess. Load someone up with that much fluids, well, they're going to have to go to the bathroom a bunch. Had a few accidents. And ran into a certain issue I never expected in my preps. I had a severe crisis of bed sheets. I wasn't feeling good. Cat wasn't feeling good. We were making a mess everywhere. And it turns out that I did not have enough bed sheets to do the laundry and not have to use the dryer constantly. It was a constant in and out cycle. On my list of increasing preps, more sheets and towels. We went through a lot. Those next couple days were pretty hard. And he still wasn't eating. Now, I was like, this is really bad. Because cats, if they don't start eating, they can develop liver problems. And it can often lead to death very quickly. Cats need their food. So, Mr. Philip got assisted eating. And it turns out, he didn't mind having his wet food pureed into frosty consistency. Yeah, it looks like a Wendy's Frosty. Well, it sure don't smell like one. Let me tell you, doesn't smell like one at all. You put that spoon up to your nose, and you're like, oh, good God. I tell you, whenever I go to Wendy's to get a Frosty, I'm going to be thinking about this for a long time. But anyways, Philip was pretty weak. Actually, very weak. But however, he was willing to eat this, which was great. Now, I didn't get much down on the first day, but on the second day when we got into the vet, kidney values were finally down below the red lines of danger. Flushing was working. However, now we got to get his strength back. So we spent a lot of days feeding him, and he's actually finally recovering. My poor kitty cat is perking up. We're cutting back on fluids. It's now down to 100 mils a day, and he's actually consuming enough calories in the day and getting his nutrition, which is good. And what the heck caused this, right? How in the world did this happen? Well, I was kind of worried it was possibly the pain medications. However, I usually keep a very careful log, and this time I did, as usual. Kept a very careful log on what I gave my cat, when I gave it to him, and how much. Didn't even go over the recommended dose at all, which is good, because, like I said, cat's kidneys are sensitive. Also, the strong opiate doesn't really hurt the kidneys as much, and we didn't even have to give him that much of it, which was really nice. Now I went and looked at what I got prescribed. Turns out the amount of antibiotics he was given was a lot higher than the recommended dose. So I went looking and on the internet to find out, and you know that people reporting similar issues? Oh yeah. There's a lot of people that have been on this particular antibiotic at a higher dose rate, and their cats have developed issues. And it turns out when you go to the manufacturer and go read their things, they talk about overdoses. And one of the top listed problems in the overdose is kidney issues. Yep, I think I found the culprit, the antibiotics. Now usually I'm a really anal dick, and I will actually question doctors constantly. And I will compare what the recommended doses are, read about things, check the interactions for myself. However, I was really stressed out and tired from dealing with my poor cat who was so sick. I just took the medication and started giving to him. Yeah, as you can imagine, I've been totally kicking my ass because I'm usually such an anal dick, and this time I didn't. And my poor cat almost dies from it. Really pissed off at myself over that. But thankfully, I pay very close attention to how he feels, how he acts, what's he doing. And I noticed before complete tragedy struck. Now, what does all this have to do with my standard theme of preparedness and other stuff like that? Well, it means that when things are times of crisis, we still have to be vigilant. You really have to watch what the heck is going on. Because things going bad and our attention span is stretched thin, that's when it's going to bite you in the ass hard. And that is a really tough thing to deal with. Really hard to manage. But as a skill we all need to focus on is being able to maintain a really strong presence of mind, to have that focus, to know when something's off, and to be able to keep on with checking things, looking for this, noticing these things, noticing things that are out of issue. It'll really, really protect you in times of crisis. It's just very difficult to maintain. And that's why having a group of people is going to be very important, because you're going to need your rest. I was severely sleep deprived taking care of him, and it really impaired my judgment. Unfortunately, thankfully, like I said, noticed things before it got too bad. Now the other thing that's really important, that I don't understand why the mainstream media, well, let me rephrase that. They're idiots. I already know that. So ignore that statement. But something they are not telling people that is becoming more and more apparent. What is the number 3 killer of people in America? Oh, someone might yell, oh, it's guns. Okay, not even close. Oh, cars. Nope. Number 3 killer of people in America? It is preventable medical mistakes. No, not like tragedy in medicine. Someone came in really bad. No. Preventable medical mistakes. Think about that. You have a much higher chance of going to the doctor and ending up dead than most of the other issues that are out there that we face day to day in American life. Now, how bad is it? Well, there's a study by Johns Hopkins that talks about, they estimate 250,000 people a year are dying from preventable medical mistakes. I'll put the link to the article in the description. Now, I've seen other studies that have said as high as 400,000 people. It's pretty darn terrifying. It's number 3, right behind heart disease and cancer. I mean, I can't even, it's crazy to wrap your mind around this. You know, but do you hear about it in the news? No. Who the heck even talks about this? Well, crazy people like me on YouTube that are bringing this up. And you can find it if you go knowing what you're looking for on the internet. You know, put it into the search engines, it'll pop up. But you got to go dig for it. This is not published information. And I can kind of understand why it's not deeply published or talked about on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're starting to talk about this and you point out, hey, your chances of dying from going to see the doctor is really high, yeah, we're going to have a major crisis in faith in the medical industry. And probably the powers that be think that is a severe problem, and they do not want you to be publishing this and bring it to everyone's forefront knowledge. Because people are going to overreact. People always overreact. But the point of all this means is you are the most important person in ensuring your care. So you need to look at every drug that they prescribe you. You need to look at the dosage. You need to evaluate the side effects and the potential adverse side effects. So some of these drugs have adverse side effects so bad that I don't even want to risk it. I don't want to be that less than 1% chance a person, develops lymphoma. I mean, some of these downsides are, well, they're really down. And no way do I want to be involved in that. It's also like some of the other drugs that they've wanted to prescribe to some of my cats for antibiotics and the infections. I'm like, yeah, no. That one has a really high incident rate. Of course, it's like 2 or 3%, but high incident rate of permanent kidney damage. That is horrible. I have one cat that naturally developed really bad kidney problems, and treating him, well, it's difficult. And it's really, really hard on me, emotionally and spiritually. Very difficult to deal with. And I don't want to risk that. So I'm like, no. We will find other classes of antibiotics. This may be a common one you guys stock all the time because you like to cross it over with the, dogs, because it's mainly for dogs, and it just means you have to keep less inventory. But no, I will get a prescription, I will go to the pharmacy, and I'll use a different class that doesn't have the same risk. But that's the same thing for you. You need to very carefully examine what you're getting. So like if you have to go in for surgery or in the hospitals like that, I really recommend people having an advocate. Someone examining things, making certain that this is the agreed upon medications, that you're evaluated, and you know what's going on. Shoot, people could type things in on the computer, entering in, and accidentally press an extra key, and you get a 0 behind it. Instead of being 4 milligrams, it's 40. And fortunately, 40 is like a lethal dose. You don't want that. But it's terrifying to realize that many preventable medical mistakes have ratcheted up so high, it's the 3rd leading cause of death in the U.S. Gives me shivers. And that's the point as well. While you are stressed out, dealing with all these issues, maybe you're scared because you have to have a major surgery or you are really ill, you still got to have that presence of mind, that focus, to double check and verify what is going on. Can't let it slip. And in times of great crisis, grid down, SHTF, zombie apocalypse, and everything's burning around you, still got to be there and focus hard enough that you will be able to navigate and deal with the crisis. And that's the point. So I hope you guys got to learn something about me, got to see, The old usual cranky, gruff Reed. Well, not that cranky. But I thought I'd share the story at least. And I hope this gave people some insight, some thinking. I really hope that you leave me some comments on suggested channel names. And if any of you are artists, oh man, I need an artist so bad for some channel art. I would love to chat with you about that. But leave me some messages, put stuff in the comments. I'd be happy to chat with you and talk about this. And like I said, if you think Manifestation of Imagination is a perfect channel name, let me know. If you got some ideas for some other names, let me know. Interested and open on this idea. It's going to take a little while to settle on if I'm keeping the current one or if I want to revise it slightly. Or maybe it's all new. Don't know yet. But I'm open to the ideas. Take care, everyone. You'll be seeing a lot more of me finally since all my crazy issues are going down. And my little buddy's feeling a heck of a lot better. As you can see, he's just sleeping away on my lap and keeping me nice and warm. And I hope everyone has a wonderful new year. And that is great to everyone. Take care, everyone. This is Reed, out for now. Anyways, cut. Let's get going on. Back to topic. Adverse side effect. And then, wow.
Sorry. Sorry.
Now, let me tell you about what was going on. Am I even making any sense?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
But you aren't giving me a chance to move that.